Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Blair, or the Illuminati, and today we're talking about a specific kind of shady business, the knockoff market. This happens all the time, especially in the fashion and beauty world. Shanghai is known for them, but LA and New York have their own knockoff designer labels as well. At first glance, this stuff seems harmless, right? Like buying a fake Louis Vuitton handbag doesn't hurt anyone, right? It's not like Louis Vuitton is exactly hurting for cash, but the trouble is that when it comes to makeup, you can't really know exactly what's in the fake makeup you're purchasing. Not to mention, once you move away from the open-air markets we see explored on YouTube channels and onto the internet, there's far more than just knockoff makeup, but even counterfeit medications. So let's dive in and find out more about this knockoff market and why it's actually more dangerous than you might realize. I don't think I have to explain what a knockoff or counterfeit product actually is to any of you. I'm sure you've seen or heard of them before, but just in case, it's simply a copycat product made cheaply and sold for less. Now, you might be thinking that these knockoff markets hide in shady alleyways or something, but that's really not the case. I mean, on TripAdvisor, you can actually find recommendations for the best knockoff markets to go to in Los Angeles. And when I used to visit LA, I even visited probably the most popular one that's called Santee Alley, and it's downtown in the heart of LA, and I know that I think popular YouTubers like Sophia Nygaard have visited these fake markets for fun and for views and buy the knockoffs for a laugh. Other YouTube channels though, like Graveyard Girl, buy them online and compare them to the real thing. I mean, James Charles even bought his own fake James Charles palette and admitted that although it obviously wasn't up to the quality of his real palette, it wasn't horrible. Even I can barely tell the difference between a lot of these fake versus real makeup videos or the real and fake designer handbag videos. They are pretty similar. These knockoff, or sometimes called replica markets in Shanghai, have been around for a while now, with reviews on TripAdvisor dating back to 2012 for one particular popular location. So no, it's not hard to find at all. The general public can easily access these places and buy them. And again, with handbags and clothing, it doesn't seem outwardly harmful. People know what they're getting into, and some replicas are laughably bad, and those shopkeepers might say, oh yeah, that's real Gucci or whatever, but they're just not really fooling anyone. Typically, yes, it is done for fun, for views, it's an experience. However, more and more these days, makeup brands like Kylie, Fenty, and Jeffree Star, though I guess less and less of that one because of certain controversies, I don't know though, are seen as a status symbol. You also know that it can't harm you. Like, sure, it's not as high quality as the real deal, but it's made from fabric. The worst it can do is not breathe well or be itchy. It's the fake makeup and other kinds of beauty and skincare products and even medication that can be dangerous, and that's where the serious problems with this replica market starts to rise. Refinery29 visited Santee Alley in 2017 and covered the same topic. Apparently, it's not just people looking to have that Kylie name brand in their purse that buy these products, but actual makeup artists. Maybe it's to seem more genuine to their clients while saving money, I can't be sure. Everything here, one woman says, can be sold so cheaply because it's from China, and according to her, she doesn't see the harm because most products are from China anyways. So if you're going to work with the idea that since the original product is created in China and the knockoff is made in China, it's not a big deal, then I guess that's one way to view things, and if that's how you want to see it, I can't blame you for it. According to Deborah Parker from Homeland Security, some of the products they've confiscated have lead, mercury, arsenic, and even horse urine. So excuse me while I just gag momentarily, but horse urine. We need to ask, why is horse urine inside an eyeshadow palette, and are you really comfortable with putting that on your face? As for those who have actually traveled to China and seen these places, they have said that you wouldn't even want to eat there, let alone make products there for distribution. There's no quality control. And I know makeup brands can be expensive, there's no denying that. Many people cannot afford $30 for a lipstick, and frankly, that's not exactly what I want to spend my money on. But if you are purchasing the actual product, you do have some sort of sense of security that that product has been tested and the ingredients are regulated. So whether you're spending $30 on an expensive lipstick or you're purchasing a lipstick from a company like NYX for $6, there are regulations and protocols put in place to make sure there isn't any disgusting or horrible ingredients inside that product. Whereas when you look at these knockoffs, it's not only gross, disgusting, but it's unregulated and it's dangerous. And many using them find that out the hard way. CBS reported the following in 2017. Beauty blogger Tanya Arguelles found firsthand when she purchased a popular eyeshadow from a downtown Los Angeles street market last year. U.S. Customs officers say most of the discounted goods sold there likely snuck in under the radar at seaports like Long Beach. I just wanted to know, can this possibly be as good as the $50 that I just spent, she said. She tested both eyeshadows, and when she woke up the next morning, her eye was burning, uncomfortable, and itchy. Within the first 45 minutes, I realized it was an eye infection. I couldn't get my contacts on, she said. I looked back at the footage and it was on the fake side, 100%. Arguelles isn't alone. Other people who have used counterfeit makeup have reported allergic reactions, skin rashes, swollen lips, and chemical burns. Back at Arguelles' studio, we compared our purchases with the same makeup from traditional retail stores. The packaging is nearly identical. Some fake makeup has reportedly been found to contain dangerous chemicals such as arsenic, mercury, and aluminum. We sent the fake and real versions of a MAC lipstick and a Jaclyn Hill eyeshadow palette to a lab where they were tested for 12 different metals. Most concerning, some of the eyeshadows in the fake palette had nearly 4 times the amount of lead as those in the real version. In one, the amount exceeded the FDA recommendation maximum of 10 parts per million. The fake lipstick had nearly 15 times the amount of lead as the real thing. There's also been cyanide, rat droppings, and human urine found in some beauty products in the UK, according to London police. Now, obviously between the lead, mercury, cyanide, arsenic, you'd think no one would use this, that the women breaking out in rashes or infections would warn everyone. Well, since some reactions can be delayed, the makeup doesn't always get the blame they deserve. And since these shops aren't operated and regulated in the way that makeup brands are supposed to be, it makes them particularly difficult to stop. The actual step-by-step process, even just to remove one vendor off the street, is long and drawn out. Undercover buyers have to get the product. Evidence has to be delivered that proves it's counterfeit and footage taken. The brand also has to verify it's counterfeit, and then this is delivered to the police. Even the FBI has said that the actual best way to fight this is with consumer awareness. And I'm not gonna lie, this is a bit disheartening to hear that the general public is forced to be more responsible, considering we know how ignorant some consumers can be. InStyle says even when some of these knockoff buyers know the risks, they're undeterred. They're aware of the health risks, but don't care. Clarissa, a 22-year-old in Australia, boasts counterfeits of beloved beauty brands like Fenty, Too Faced, and her favorite for sure, Anastasia Beverly Hills. She says it's not always easy to tell when a product isn't the real thing, so that wouldn't dissuade her from buying a dupe. Some things don't smell like they should, but I love them, she says. Lay, a 35-year-old mother from Texas, bought replicas of Lime Crime lipsticks and Kylie lip kits and even gave imitation makeup to her family members as gifts for a while, but she says she made sure they knew they weren't getting the real deal. Interested in starting a makeup line herself, she heard about the replicas from other ladies on the makeup pages and just wanted to try it out. I buy replicas when I want the product displayed, but I won't really wear those colors much, Joanne, an active member of one review group, explained. She described herself as a licensed makeup artist who started getting into fake so she could understand what others were talking about on YouTube. Citing the Morphe James Charles palette, an assortment of 39 rainbow-hued shadows in a variety of finishes made in collaboration with the star makeup artist, which retailed for $39 before selling out, she noted, "I don't love the color story, so I wouldn't want to pay retail price for just having the packaging in my collection." Well, if it's just about the packaging, then it seems innocent enough, right? Well, here's the giant fucking problem I have with Joanne. She is a makeup artist. What if she gets hired for an event? Maybe a wedding, a photo shoot, I don't know, anything really. And then someone sees her James Charles palette, recognizes it because, hey, he's a giant influencer, and asks if she'll use that on her. Is it really so far of a stretch to think that that could happen? What would Joanne say? "No, sorry, that one might have mercury in it." It is a horrible business decision, potentially putting customers in danger with them not even understanding why, and it's false advertising. Like, I don't want to go to my hairdresser, see all these fancy, quality, high-end products they're going to use, only to find out that some of those are display only. you know? And then there are these other women out here giving them away as gifts. That's just fucking crazy. There's a reason that InStyle mentions how eBay is threatening to suspend people's accounts for selling the fake makeup. It's dangerous. Telling your friends and family that a product is a knockoff is different than telling them it might contain fucking urine or arsenic or any of that other list of bullshit you don't want in there. This is why, again, it's frustrating that this has become such a giant problem and awareness won't even cut it. People are aware it's fake. Many just don't care until it's too late and they have some kind of serious rash, eye infection, or possibly even something worse. But to make matters worse, this isn't just outside in little kiosks or outdoor shops somewhere. Other larger retailers have also been guilty of selling questionable products like TJ Maxx and Costco. In the case of Costco, they've been sued a number of times by a variety of companies, and seriously, there's no shortage of lawsuits against them. But the notable ones we're going to talk about are with YSL and other beauty companies. In 2012, Costco was sued for selling counterfeit perfume using their name. Costco said they did it unknowingly, but I don't know if I can fully believe that. Then, in an article just last year from the Fashion Law, the company Beauty Blender is suing a German beauty distributor New Flag for stocking their products with TJ Maxx and Costco without permission. Even though Costco is not the company that's being sued directly, and it's this New Flag distributor, it's yet another issue in terms of market monitoring. Some websites claim that TJ Maxx has sold fake makeup before, that scammers have returned fake makeup sets to their store in the past and it worked. Personally, that whole fake perfume incident with Costco kinda worries me a bit. It seems quite easy to apparently get your hands on these fake products in bulk from these huge companies. And again, I honestly can't tell the difference with some of them at a first glance. Well, not for all of them, but most certainly for some of them. For example, the GCCUI instead of Gucci shirt is kind of obvious, but some of the makeup ones are some seriously wicked good dupes. If Costco slips up with perfume and makeup, what if they slip up on even more serious products? Because it's one thing to go into these little replica shops for a laugh, and it's another to go to the grocery store and not be sure what you're actually buying. Although the arsenic, mercury, and lead was bad enough, the real dangers aren't just in copying Kylie's brand. These beauty products, handbags, and clothing might be the most popular, but they're not the most dangerous. Counterfeit pharmaceuticals, everything from Viagra to Oxycontin to Percocet, account for $600 billion of global trade. It poses significant adverse health and economic consequences for individuals and corporations alike. The World Health Organization estimates that over 30% of pharmaceuticals in developing countries are fake, stating that anyone, anywhere in the world can come across medicines seemingly packaged in the right way, but which do not contain the correct ingredients and, in the worst case scenario, may be filled with highly toxic substances. Experts estimate that counterfeit medications kill at least 700,000 people a year, mostly in underdeveloped countries. According to The Economist, between 15 to 30% of antibiotic drugs in Africa and Southeast Asia are fake. The UN estimates that roughly half of all anti-malarial drugs sold in Africa, worth about $438 million a year, are counterfeits. 15 to 30% is a huge number. That's almost 1 out of every 3 to 6 people potentially receiving a dangerous drug. Sometimes this medication can have no active ingredient, so it doesn't help anyone at all, or it contains many times the safe limit of active ingredient, or worse yet, they are made using ineffective or dangerous substitutes which can cause liver damage, irreversible health problems, or even prove to be fatal. This is why counterfeit products are so dangerous and why we shouldn't support the practice at all. Yeah, the knockoff brands are funny, it gets views on YouTube, it's interesting to see how close some of them are going to be. But if these sellers continue to get financial support and attention, make no mistake that the problem is only going to get worse. The FBI stated that there is no typical profile of the individuals or groups trafficking in these kinds of counterfeit products, and this might be one of their many illegal activities. Oftentimes, the illicit proceeds are used to fund other types of crime. So who's to say that someone who has seemingly no guilt about selling a product with horse urine in it can't sell an antibiotic that may or may not actually work? I started off this video prepared to simply say, hey, don't put counterfeit makeup on your face, don't buy it, don't support it. Some people might be stupid and think it's real, so don't fund these sellers that put the product out there. But holy shit, it's definitely worse than I thought, and unfortunately, I'm not completely surprised either. As popular as fake palettes are, counterfeit pharmaceuticals are the most lucrative sector of global trade in illegally copied goods. It may be more depressing to talk about and not as fun as these comparing palettes kind of videos and topics, but I don't think it would be right to mention knockoffs and ignore the impact that this has had. In 2017, Strategy and wrote, "Fraudulent drugs harm or kill millions around the world and inflict serious damage on the brand names and bottom lines of major pharmaceutical manufacturers. Common anti-counterfeiting tactics block about half of the fake drugs at most. New regulatory initiatives, meanwhile, leave large gaps for criminals to exploit." Yet, a new survey by Strategy and PwC's strategy consulting business finds that pharmaceutical executives generally aren't inclined to spend more to fight fakes, despite their awareness that current measures don't go far enough. Not only do these executives misjudge their own vulnerability, but they also overlook the opportunities awaiting those that capitalize on rapidly evolving anti-counterfeiting technologies that do more than improve on existing supply chain safeguards. Companies that adopt these technologies will reap a range of new benefits and gain an edge over rivals relying on yesterday's solutions. And misjudging their own vulnerabilities. Yeah, that sure sounds a lot like what these customers are doing when they buy fake makeup. An estimated 1 million people die each year from counterfeit drugs according to Insight Crime, but so few people talk about it. I can't say for sure if it's because some of these are because the people already had existing underlying conditions, since some of the most common ones are for HIV, AIDS, and cancer medications. But on the other hand, Interpol has found more than 200,000 people die just from counterfeit anti-allergy drugs alone. And let's be clear, this is a growing problem. In 2017, Reuters reported that some pharmacists in Africa say they are compelled to buy from the cheapest but not necessarily the safest suppliers to compete with illegal street traders. Now, I'm not saying this is absolutely spreading to the US in these kinds of numbers and to investigate every single ibuprofen bottle you get from your CVS and be paranoid, but we have serious regulations in place, far more serious than we do for cosmetics. But it's worth knowing, and I had no idea this was even such a massive issue until today. And just as a lot of these counterfeit makeups come from China, a lot of these pharmaceuticals do too. It endangered a lot of African countries, including Nigeria, where an estimated half the drugs in the country were fake back in 2001. At the time, the head of Nigeria's National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Dr. Dora Akunili, was at the forefront of the fight against the drug counterfeiters after her sister Vivian died after injecting fake insulin in 1988. Drug counterfeiting is mass murder, says Akunili. It is one of the greatest atrocities of our time. It is a form of terrorism against public health as well as an act of economic sabotage. During Akunili's posting at NAFDAC, which ran until 2008, the percentage of drugs on the market that were counterfeited dropped from 50% to about 15%. More than 50 drug counterfeiters were convicted under counterfeit legislation, and thousands of fake medications were burned and destroyed. Her activities did not make her popular with drug counterfeiters who wanted to get even with the woman who stepped on their toes, shut down their factories, and stop their fake pills from killing innocent people. In fact, they wanted her dead. In 2003, they attempted to assassinate her while she was in her car, but Akunili survived the attack and continued her quest to stop the flow of fake drugs into Nigeria. So first of all, I just need to say, what a badass. She survived an assassination attempt and then continued her hard work to stop fake drugs from coming into Nigeria. Secondly, she says later in the article on NCBI that one of the biggest problems are drug companies keeping quiet about publicizing these issues. Sure, they don't want their stocks to drop, but imagine if Afrin came out and admitted that their products were being copied and killed 200,000 people, or Claritin, or literally any other allergy medication. Yeah, it wouldn't look good, and people may not feel safe, but you need to bring these things to light. Akunili didn't want her people to have a false sense of security about medication that could kill them. I'd rather have a drug company come out and admit that they've been copied than try to ignore the problem, but they're more worried about damaging their stocks than they are to the damage that it does to real human lives. And again, make no mistake, this is a worldwide problem. I know it seems impossible that this could happen in the US, and we do have strict regulations around medication, as I said. Just going over all of them would take a year and a day, but that information is easily accessible if you do want it, and it will be linked in my sources in the description box down below. And even with these serious regulations, counterfeit medication has entered the United States before. The National Library of Medicine published in 2014 a particular serious case involved counterfeit versions of Avastin, a cancer-fighting medication. Avastin's manufacturer, Roche, notified physicians in February 2012 of a counterfeit version of it that contained salt and starch, but not the active component of the drug. Another example of the dangers of counterfeit medications in the United States is the 2008 counterfeit case of the blood thinner heparin. In this case, the active ingredient was replaced with a cheaper substance that caused patients to have adverse reactions and resulted in a nationwide recall of heparin. The medication, whose counterfeit active ingredient came from China, a major source of counterfeiting, was suspected to be the cause of as many as 81 deaths. The implications for patients are clear. Counterfeits can kill. The US company that sold heparin was subject to 740 lawsuits and eventually sold the division that produced the medicine. Preventing counterfeit medicines from entering the United States is especially difficult, in part because nearly 40% of drugs are made overseas and approximately 80% of the active medicinal components of drugs are imported. Because many of these medicines are expensive, buyers are attracted to lower prices. The rise of internet pharmacies make regulation of drug safety more difficult. Detecting counterfeits is often difficult because many of these goods pass a long and complicated distribution network, thereby creating opportunities for counterfeits to enter the legitimate supply chain. So, just to be clear, this has happened, and it absolutely can happen again. So long as pharmaceutical companies remain quiet, not wanting to reveal that their product has been copied, this will only get worse, and more people will die. We need more badasses out there like Knockoff that refuse to be silent on the topic, and we can't take counterfeit products like shirts and makeup lightly when these manufacturers in China and India are making far more serious drug knockoffs. So with all of that being said, that's where I'm going to end today's video and this brief look at the counterfeit market. I obviously understand that I haven't covered everything under the sun about this, and there's obviously more detail I could have gone into. But I feel that for a lot of people, awareness and a general umbrella of knowledge that something like this is even going on in the first place is a good starting point. But let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and share the video around to your friends and family so they can also become more aware of this really serious topic. If you want more content from me, you can pop open my description box. You will at the top always find all of my sources in my description box, but you'll also find all of my social media and various other channels that I work with. So thank you guys again for watching another video. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!